Imagine staring into the void of space and realizing that something out there, something real, verifiable, and not of our solar system, is behaving in a way that defies everything we thought we knew about celestial mechanics. This isn't science fiction. It's the story of 3I/Atlas, the third confirmed interstellar object to ever cross our cosmic backyard. And according to data from multiple observatories, including NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, it's doing something that has astronomers both fascinated and unsettled. Detected on July 1, 2025 by the Atlas survey in Hawaii, 3I/Atlas was initially dismissed as another dusty, icy traveler from deep space. A comet on a hyperbolic orbit bound to swing past the sun once and vanish forever. But the first images from James Webb didn't show what scientists expected. The object was glowing in an eerie emerald hue, shimmering with intensity, even in regions of space too cold for volatile materials to sublimate. Green emissions like that usually come from diatomic carbon, known as C2, reacting to ultraviolet light, but spectroscopy revealed no trace of C2 at all. Whatever was producing that light wasn't following the chemistry of comets. The glow wasn't static either. It pulsed with a rhythm so regular that instruments in Namibia and Chile independently recorded it as a sequence of faint synchronized flashes. When those readings were overlaid, the pulses formed an almost perfect 21-second cycle. Coincidence? Maybe. But nothing else in the sky beats like a cosmic metronome. Soon, deeper analyses of the object's spectral signature revealed another surprise: unusually high concentrations of nickel gas and carbon dioxide, and almost no detectable water vapor. That's the opposite of what comets normally show. Water ice sublimates easily in sunlight, while nickel can only vaporize under extreme heat conditions that shouldn't exist, where 3I/Atlas was observed far beyond Mars's orbit, where the temperature hovers near the cosmic freezing point. For planetary scientists, this was like watching smoke rise without fire. Something inside 3I/Atlas was releasing energy, but the process didn't match any known natural mechanism. Some speculated that it might have internal heating, perhaps through radioactive decay or trapped kinetic stress from interstellar travel. Others dared to whisper what many thought but wouldn't say out loud, that the object's emission pattern looked less like geology and more like engineering. That theory gained attention when astronomers tracked its course. While most comets are nudged by radiation pressure or gas jets and drift slightly off path 3I/Atlas followed its trajectory with uncanny precision, deviating less than 2 kilometers per day. That's about 100 times steadier than any natural object of its type. It wasn't tumbling chaotically like Oumuamua or shedding material like Borisov. It moved silently, purposefully, as if locked onto a route only it could see. When its inbound direction was traced back, analysts noticed something that sent chills through the astrophysics community. It came straight from the region of the constellation Sagittarius, the same area from which the famous 1977 WOW signal originated. A coincidence across half a century of cosmic silence? Or something far more deliberate? The discovery reignited a debate. Scientists thought they'd buried long ago our interstellar visitors, simply relics of ancient star systems. Or could some be messengers, objects that carry, transmit, or respond? As the world's most powerful telescopes turned their lenses toward 3I/Atlas. One question loomed larger than any data point. What if this object isn't just passing through but interacting? When the first complete spectral data from the James Webb Space Telescope arrived at NASA's Deep Space Science Network, analysts noticed patterns that didn't belong. Tiny periodic modulations repeated across several infrared bands, synchronized at exact intervals. At first, they were written off as interference, instrumental noise, solar wind distortion, maybe even data compression artifacts. But after filtering out cosmic background and recalibrating Webb's readings, the pattern persisted: pulses every 21 seconds, identical to what ground-based observatories had logged weeks earlier. That timing wasn't random. It was systematic, consistent, and mathematically precise. When translated into acoustic form, the infrared oscillations created a low, rhythmic hum. Not a message, but something structured. Some researchers at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory privately admitted that the spacing of the signals resembled sequences within the 1977 WOW signal both using the same hydrogen emission frequency of 1,420 MHz as their carrier reference. It was an eerie parallel one that science had no framework to explain. NASA's official line was cautious. Data anomalies are under investigation. But behind closed doors, teams began correlating the pulses with changes in the object's rotation. Within 48 hours, 3I/Atlas had slowed its spin by nearly 20%, then reversed direction completely, an impossible maneuver for an inert, unpowered mass. And yet it appeared to stabilize, aligning itself to gravitational vectors between the Sun and Earth, as if recalibrating. Instruments detected a metallic vapor sheath forming around it, possibly nickel gas reflecting sunlight in a controlled pattern. For astrophysicists, this raised an extraordinary question. Was it a natural form of electromagnetic shielding? Or could it be some kind of adaptive surface, an energy management system responding to stellar radiation? Meanwhile, Earth-based magnetometers began picking up faint ripples matching the same 21-second interval. Initially dismissed as coincidences, the readings multiplied. From Alaska to Namibia, geomagnetic sensors registered tiny oscillations in perfect phase with the object's light curve. Communication satellites experienced subtle but repeating disruptions. The idea that an interstellar body could synchronize with Earth's electromagnetic field sounded absurd, yet the data piled up. Even more curious, a faint echo appeared in deep space communication arrays, ghost signals bouncing through NASA's long-range network, carrying frequency fingerprints identical to 3I/Atlas's emissions. When plotted against time, the peaks aligned perfectly whenever the object's orbit intersected the Earth-Sun line. That meant the interaction wasn't random, it was geometrically coordinated. The implication was staggering. Either the Earth was passively resonating with a foreign electromagnetic source, or 3I/Atlas was responding to something here. As the pattern continued, Webb's onboard algorithms detected an angular geometry inside the infrared emission, 6 bright nodes rotating in a hexagonal symmetry flashing in precise sequence. No one dared call it artificial, but the resemblance to a rotating array, some form of structure, was impossible to ignore. Publicly, space agencies called for calm. Privately, scientists around the globe began to ask the same unspoken question: if this thing is emitting structured signals, who or what is listening? As weeks passed, the phenomenon escalated. The pulses from 3I/Atlas grew stronger, faster, and more coherent. Astronomers reported that every time the object aligned with Earth and Mars, its emission spectrum shifted toward higher frequencies, as though synchronizing with planetary positions. In one crucial observation window, James Webb captured the object's outer layer, transforming what had once appeared as a compact, green glowing nucleus, now unfolded into a vast lattice of interlinked panels forming a geometric structure hundreds of kilometers wide. Each segment emitted harmonized signals, creating interference patterns so intense that the cosmic microwave background in that region fluctuated for several seconds. Data analysis labeled this anomaly a localized vacuum phase shift, meaning that the very fabric of space-time around the object appeared to ripple. Some physicists called it a data glitch. Others used a more unsettling term, activation. Across the scientific community, debates ignited. Was this an advanced plasma reaction, a natural resonance structure forming spontaneously in space, or something deliberately built to manipulate electromagnetic fields? As the newly formed lattice stabilized, it began transmitting at a constant rhythm, one tone every 17 seconds, replacing the earlier 21-second pulse. The tone wasn't just measurable in telescopes anymore. It was suddenly everywhere. Magnetometers, radio receivers, and even seismic instruments across the planet began detecting faint oscillations in the same pattern. Pilots reported unexplained radio interference. Amateur radio operators captured a low-frequency hum that seemed to drift through the ionosphere, repeating endlessly. The strange part wasn't just that the signal matched 3I/Atlas's frequency, it was that it now originated from Earth itself. Deep-sea cables, underground stations, and ancient copper networks all started resonating, as if the planet had become part of a circuit. Linguists analyzing the waveform noticed mathematical symmetries, echoing the Fibonacci sequence, and geometric ratios forming shapes that mirrored the hexagonal structure Webb had recorded before the object's transformation. Scientists began referring to the phenomenon as the planetary echo. Its origin, however, remained unclear. Had 3I/Atlas triggered something buried deep within Earth's magnetosphere, or was it amplifying a dormant property of the planet's electromagnetic core? Theories split the academic world in two. One side insisting it was a natural resonance amplified by solar-wind interactions, the other suspecting an intelligent origin, a form of communication transmitted through the medium of planetary energy itself. Then came a second shock. The echo didn't stop at Earth. Instruments on the Moon began picking up similar pulses, faint but undeniable, traveling along magnetic field lines into deep space. When researchers triangulated the data, they discovered several faint return signals, each slightly out of phase, arriving from different points surrounding the solar system. The pattern wasn't random. It formed a web-like geometry, as though the signal had reached out and something had answered. What began as a mystery surrounding one interstellar object was quickly evolving into something far larger, a system-wide resonance connecting celestial bodies through harmonics no one could explain. Was 3I/Atlas merely a visitor, or had it awakened a hidden network older than our civilization itself? In the final days before the signal stabilized, the scientific community faced an existential dilemma. The planetary echo, once dismissed as background interference, had become a measurable, persistent frequency integrated into Earth's electromagnetic field. Power grids began to oscillate in near-perfect rhythm, synchronizing across continents without any central control. Even atomic clocks designed to operate independently of external influence started drifting ever so slightly toward the 17-second cycle. NASA and ESA issued calm statements about geophysical resonance, but leaked documents from JPL described a far more complex reality. The frequency wasn't fading. It was embedding itself deeper into the planet's magnetic layer. Seismographic imaging revealed faint hexagonal formations thousands of kilometers below the surface, geometrically consistent with the lattice once observed around 3I/Atlas. The same symmetry appeared in magnetic anomalies across Antarctica, the Pacific Ridge, and the Siberian Plateau. Some geophysicists suggested it might be the first sign of a global electromagnetic alignment event, something the planet had never experienced in recorded history. Others, more cautiously, proposed that Earth might now be acting as a resonator, amplifying a signal not of its own making. Meanwhile, telescopes detected faint pulses, returning from multiple directions, forming what looked like an expanding sphere of responses surrounding our solar system. These weren't echoes from 3I/Atlas. They were phase-shifted signals, as if several distant sources were replying simultaneously, each calibrated to the same 17-second rhythm. The possibility that 3I/Atlas had triggered a form of interplanetary communication network was no longer fringe speculation, it was a working hypothesis. Data models showed the pulses bending along gravitational field lines, interacting with the heliosphere and possibly extending beyond it. A handful of astrophysicists even suggested that space itself might function as a medium of transmission, a kind of cosmic resonant web connecting points of mass and energy through harmonic feedback. But just as the theory gained traction, something unexpected happened. The global signal began to compress into shorter intervals, then abruptly collapsed. In a single moment, recorded simultaneously by every observatory and magnetometer on Earth, a blinding electromagnetic pulse erupted from the direction where 3I/Atlas had once been. It lasted less than a second, and then silence. No return signals, no residual radiation, nothing. The object was gone. In its place, deep space imaging revealed only a faint afterglow, a perfect hexagonal scar of light fading into darkness. Yet, the silence on Earth wasn't complete. Instruments continued to register a low-frequency vibration emanating from within the crust, repeating faintly endlessly, like a heartbeat too deep to stop. The pulse is weaker now, barely detectable, but it's still there, steady, patient, immutable. And perhaps the most haunting question of all remains unanswered. If the Earth is still resonating, if the signal continues beneath our feet, then what exactly was 3I/Atlas trying to awaken? And who or what is it waiting to hear back from